How many deployments have you done?
7.
7 combat deployments. You've been shot in the head. You've been in extreme stress. How's it going? I'm Mike O'Dowd with USCCA, and I'm here with my good friend Cody Alford. Cody was a 15-and-a-half-year MARSOC, Marine Special Forces operator, and we've worked together in the past. Incredible guy, runs his own company in like mindset, space, and apparel. Really happy to have you on this, and yeah, I think the people at home would love to know, in terms of warrior mindsets, right, protector mindset, can you talk a little bit about what your mindset is and how you adapt that to your everyday life?
What my mindset is and how I adapt that to my everyday life?
Yeah. In terms of like the tactical space, okay? You're a multifaceted guy, you have a family, but you also have this history of combat. How many deployments have you done?
7.
7 combat deployments. You've been shot in the head. You've been in extreme stress. How have you adapted your mindsets into who you are now and the training that you do now?
Well, for starters, every day I try practice, every day. And I didn't for the longest time because I relied on my past. Like I have this past skill. And then I realized getting it as a civilian with like, my mindset was I have a team, I have equipment, I have backup, I have resources. As a civilian, I don't have all those things. I'm going to the grocery store, going to school, right? I'm doing normal human being stuff. So I had to adapt kind of the way I navigate in that world and how I've kind of like used my past to help me in my present is just realizing that, dude, I had to be my own ambassador. I every time I go out, I'm representing my team that's not there. But my team is my friends, my family, my employees, people that I care about. And so I asked myself, well, what are you not doing to be the example for them? And my biggest threat will always be complacency. So it really took a hard look for me to look at my own life and like, okay, doing the job, I know I can do that. But what happens before the job needs to be action? So like how I conduct myself around my house, my home security, just my mindset going out, making sure that I'm staying up with what I'm utilizing and not relying on, hey, I have a tool, I know how to use it, and I'll just carry it around with me. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
So the training that you used to have and the training now, have the two changed? Like how you used to train, what you used to train, do you do the same things or is it completely different?
Mine's a lot more situational awareness based nowadays because I realize that if I was to find myself in like a life or death situation, not everyone is on the same sheet of music as I.
You don't have a team.
I do not have a team.
Yeah.
There's innocent bystanders out there. There's other two-way supporters out there and enforcers out there. So for me, my whole thing is like, how do I defend myself, protect myself in a training standard, but how do I also protect myself with my observation? And I've been really diving into more communication because I understand that I can talk to you by just looking at you. That's not congruent in the civilian world, which obviously makes sense. And so really articulating my words and being more specific about what I need them to do, but speaking from a way of already a high stress environment, vice talking like people would expect to talk during chaos.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, so really calm, cool, and collective. And then I find myself for like my training has adapted a way more concealed carry, way more just understanding of how I'm showing up in the world. Where are my gaps? Because I'm human, I can find myself super spacing out at times. And so it's really, I'm running my own programs to like, okay, I'm gonna be normal and I'm not gonna focus on anything. What stands out to me? Oh, this 5-minute section of road, I wasn't paying attention. I left my bag in my car. Just normal human being things and taking all that information, that data, and incorporating it into the life that I want to live.
Yeah.
With the version of me that I want to be.
Absolutely. A few years back, you moved up to Idaho.
Correct.
And you lived off grid. I don't know if is it still off grid?
Yeah, we're on grid, yeah,
Okay.
but definitely austere.
Yeah, very austere. Before that, you were living in Los Angeles with me, right, in the same area. How has your training and, like, let's just say preparedness changed going from urban, you were urban when you were in San Diego, going to essentially an off-grid type lifestyle?
That's a great question, because what I really realized is that like I had the training, I had the tools, and so I thought I was prepared. Well, I realized that the homestead life that I live now, I was not prepared for that in a self-defense observation world. And the example was I had an animal, a deer actually get caught in one of my chicken fences. And I heard this like loud, crazy sound, and I went out there, I went to go flash it. My flashlight did not have enough lumens to actually penetrate the dark and get the distance that I needed. And I told myself, I'm like, bro, you are not prepared.
Yeah.
So then I realized every optic that I had, every light that I had met a CQB, met a very niche urban end state, but it did not facilitate what I needed in a homestead where I have a very large open space, have a lot of trees, and I realized I needed to adapt very quickly because I was going to find myself completely unprepared if I continued to not do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that was
wild.
It was a big culture shock for me, because we buy the weapons or do the tool training, we go to the classes, but then we overlook the flashlight and the importance of it.
Yeah.
Or the optic that I have, for the environment that I'm living in. And I just know for me, light, observation, being able to see was a huge gap in my game.
Yeah.
And that helped lead me to like my other security around my house. Just like, okay, what can I illuminate with the flick of a switch? And then what can I enhance with the use of a tool? Because I was completely caught off guard with it.
Interesting.
I had no reason to try anything different.
Yeah, you don't need 30 yards of lighting when you're in a house.
Yeah, because even back on the teams, like with you on a recce rifle, I didn't run a flashlight. The last thing I wanted was a negligent discharge in the middle of nowhere. So my civilian rifles ran the same way.
Okay.
Well, I'm like, okay, well, you're not running ops. You're a dad. You're a business owner and a homesteader. So what do you need to do to modify and adapt to your environment? And that's really what the past few years have done to me, living out in the woods.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So a lot of people watching this, they look at a guy like you and they go, you're a big guy, you've trained for essentially your entire life to be lethal. I'm not that. Maybe I'm a single mom, maybe I'm just like a dad protecting my home and I have no firearms training. So I think they see a guy like you and they go, that I can never be a Navy SEAL, I can never be a MARSOC guy. Where would you tell those people to start?
That is great, because that's actually my big that's my stigma that I dislike around the community and like the gun world and training world, is that barrier of entry just seems so high.
Yeah.
And it keeps a lot of people away from just knowing. So actually what I teach at my course, I teach you how to engage a threat without using any optics, without using any sights, and I don't even teach you anything. I just teach you the basic fundamentals of identifying your target and presenting yourself to that threat and taking care of business. And what I realize is that from my students that come through, they're so capable. They just overthink because they think the expectation management is higher than the bar they have for themselves. But really what it is, for all of us, it's the barrier of entry is the basics. It's being conscious of my current state, realizing that if I don't do something bad is significantly going to happen, and then choosing to make a decision. And so I think if anyone is kind of on the fence about wanting to train, it's make a decision to be exposed to stuff that you don't know, even if the barrier of entry does seem high to you, because it's really not. It's just a perception out there, because people like get cool pictures and gear, but that is definitely not the case. But you have to get exposed, and the best way to do that is just ask questions and be okay to suck. And the cool thing is, you're going to find out very quickly you don't suck.
Yeah.
You just realize there's more that you don't know yet.
Yeah. It's funny, some of the best performing shooters and fighters I know are people whose everyday jobs are the most like mundane, basic, like an accountant, a librarian, like not Navy SEAL, not cop, not like, you don't have to have these titles to your point, to be really good and proficient at what you're doing.
Yeah, you just have to have the desire to realize that there's gaps in my game and I want to improve upon them.
Yeah.
That's why I work out. That's why I, look at my nutrition. And that's why I dry practice every day. And I don't even do anything crazy.
Yeah.
I just present. I check my equal height, equal light. I make sure my presentation is good to go. I make sure I'm confident, because why else am I carrying things if I don't even know what I'm going to do, God forbid, if I ever need to use it? And that's what people should really realize is like, oh, I live in a safe area. You live in a safe ecosystem that can be shattered by one parasite.
Yeah.
And it is your responsibility to take accountability of your own life. whether that's a non-lethal, lethal, or just the observation skills. So that's why I really love what you're doing, because you're breaking the stigma of having to be this tier thing, but all you got to do is just be, you're a dad.
Yeah.
You travel around the world with your children, you know, and you help people feel confident and safe when they're making these decisions and moves in their life. And that's what I love so much about the content you're putting out, Mike.
We were just interviewing Jacob Hepner, and Jacob, you know, CrossFit Games, 6th place in the entire world, a physical fitness guru, owns some guns, but not a shooter. Over the course of a couple years has become the 3 times tactical game national champion and a world-class shooter, just because he saw a deficiency in his training and said, I'm gonna work at that. And I think that's a big lesson for all of us, is like, if you want it, you just go out and get it. You just work for it.
No one's gonna give you the invite, even though we all want it, because it makes us feel good, makes us feel seen and wanted, but no one's gonna say, hey, mom, dad, I understand that you might have some emotional ties to this or a bad experience in the past, but at the end of the day, it's your responsibility, because those little eyeballs that are looking at you, you are everything to them. And if you know that you have gaps, you're doing disservice to everyone who's counting on you. And once again, exposure is knowledge, right? Just being exposed to stuff. And I think so many people are just hesitant, because when it comes to that type of lifestyle, right? Utilizing your constitutional rights, being a steward of your own life and ownership of yourself and your tribe, your family, people don't really see the need until there's a need for it. Well, when there's a need for it, you quickly realize that you're not prepared.
It's too late.
It's too late. And the thing is, you know, you could have all the training in the want, but the mindset that's more aggressive than you is always going to win, because they're always prepared to do something that you're not. And 9 times out of 10, that just means making a decision. Egressing, attacking, you know, rendering self-aid, neutralizing a threat, just calling for help. These are all actions. And if you find yourself being held up to even seek the unknown, what do you think is going to happen when something very traumatic is presented to you and you don't have those lifelines anymore? You have to be the responsible steward of what you're doing.
Heck yeah. Last question I got for you. People at home want to know this. All the experience you have, all the combat you have, you carry on yourself every day. You go to the range and you shoot. What are your go-to pistol, rifle, and your EDC?
Ooh, man. So my favorite, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
You get one.
Okay, my EDC, I've been switching back between the P365 and the Glock 17.
Oh man, Glock versus SIG?
I am a Glock 17 fan. It fits my hand good, and any variant of that platform, I'm a big proponent for it. That would be my EDC. My combat arms, I'm not gonna lie, bro. My break glass, you know, in case of emergency, it's my Staccato XL, dude. That thing is just nasty.
It seems to be a pretty common theme about the guys we're asking, is like the Staccato is like, well, there we go.
The Staccato XL is, I got that once over the XC because I didn't want to port a compensator to get into the competition. But when I pick up that pistol and seeing it all full size, like, it takes me to that place. And then my rifle, my favorite rifle right now that I've been shooting for training, just for training and also self-defense, is a Man of War Precision. Small business, but it is the fastest and lightest carbine that I've taken out of a box and shot.
Amazing.
Yeah, he has a patented recoil reduction system on it, and I've shot a lot of carbines, but like, if there was only one, because you throw an optic on there, all that stuff gets heavy, and I'm realizing now that if I'm not constantly training with like 80 pounds on, the bubble helmet, and like holding something like up here,
tired.
I get very tired. It's like holding my kid. I'm like, wow, I'm pretty weak, you know? And so that's my favorite carbine right now to shoot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for being
brother.
on.
I love you. I love what you're doing.
Love you too, dude. That was an awesome opportunity to talk to my good friend Cody Alford. Learned a ton. I hope you did as well. Biggest takeaways I have, no matter where you are in your life, what you did in the past doesn't matter anymore. It's what you're doing right now to better yourself and better your foxhole, essentially. Doesn't matter if you were a MARSOC operator, what you're doing right now. If you're not training, you're putting yourself at a disservice. And the best thing here at SHOT Show is I get to run into good friends with this amazing experience and expertise and pick their brains. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe. And as always, continue training, because that's how we move forward and that's how we progress.